Imagine this. It's late at night, and the phone rings. You answer, expecting a friend, a family member, maybe even a wrong number. But instead, you hear something that makes your blood run cold, a voice that shouldn't exist. A whisper with no explanation, or worse, silence when someone should be speaking. Throughout history, there have been phone calls that defy logic, calls that have left investigators scratching their heads and ordinary people terrified. Some were desperate pleas for help that came too late. Others were taunting messages from killers who were never caught. And a few seem to come from something not entirely of this world. These are the unsolved phone calls that still haunt us today. One of the most chilling cases is the story of the Watts family. In 2018, Chris Watts made headlines when he murdered his pregnant wife, Shanann, and their 2 young daughters. But before the gruesome truth came out, something deeply unsettling happened. After Shanann and the girls were already dead, her best friend, Nicole Atkinson, received multiple calls from Shanann's phone. The calls lasted several minutes each, but no one spoke, just silence. Nicole, unaware that her friend was already dead, texted back, confused. Later, when police checked the phone records, they confirmed the calls had indeed happened. But who or what was on the other end? Was it a technical glitch, a sick prank, or something far more disturbing? To this day, no one has been able to explain those eerie, silent calls. Then there's the case of the Long Island serial killer, a murderer who left at least 10 victims along Gilgo Beach between 1996 and 2011. The killer has never been identified, but one of the most haunting moments in the case came in 2010, when the sister of a missing woman, Shanann Gilbert, received a call from Shannon's phone. A man's voice, cold and mocking, said, "Tell the police you're never going to find her." The call was traced to Manhattan, but in a crowded area with no clear suspect. Was it the killer himself, brazenly taunting the family, or someone else who knew what had happened? Shannon's body was eventually found, but the mystery of that call remains unsolved. Even more terrifying are the calls connected to the yogurt shop murders, one of the most brutal unsolved crimes in Texas history. In 1991, 4 teenage girls were killed in an Austin yogurt shop, their bodies left in the burned remains of the building. The case went cold for years until the victims' families began receiving phone calls. A distorted, almost inhuman voice whispered, "I killed them, and I'll kill again." The calls were traced to multiple locations, even different states, but the caller was never found. Police couldn't determine if it was the actual killer, a twisted copycat, or just a cruel hoax. But for the grieving families, those calls were a nightmare that never ended. That not all mysterious calls come from killers. Some seem to come from somewhere else entirely. In 2008, residents of a small Ohio town began reporting bizarre phone calls from themselves. That's right, people were receiving calls that appeared to be from their own phone numbers. When they answered, they heard garbled screams, strange electronic noises, and what some described as old-time radio static, like something from the 1940s. A few even claimed they heard their own voices screaming back at them. Phone companies had no explanation, and the calls stopped as suddenly as they started. Were they some kind of technical malfunction, a government experiment, or something far stranger? And then there's the case of the 13 calls from the dead. In the 1970s, a woman named Ruth Finley received 13 phone calls from her husband, Donald, who had died in a plane crash weeks earlier. Each time, the voice on the line sounded exactly like him, even using personal nicknames only he would know. The calls were investigated, but phone records showed no outgoing calls from Donald's line, so who or what was Ruth speaking to? She was convinced it was her husband reaching out from beyond. Skeptics say it was an elaborate hoax, but Ruth never wavered in her belief. These stories leave us with more questions than answers. Were they pranks, technical errors, the work of killers playing mind games, or something beyond our understanding? One thing is certain: when the phone rings in the dead of night, and the voice on the other end shouldn't be there, it makes you wonder, who, or what, is really calling? Have you ever gotten a call that sent chills down your spine? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for more terrifying true stories. Because the next time your phone rings, you might just be hearing one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries.
Hey there, if you're enjoying this video and appreciate the effort behind it, don't forget to like this video. It really helps the channel grow, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss an update. Oh, and one more thing. Share this video with your friends. Spread the love and support. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Let me know if you want any tweaks.